What's up, Dolphins representatives? This day here to recap the 2023 Week 1 preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons after rewatching the game and the highlights. And I saw some encouraging signs from some of the players and some of the units. And then there's other units that there's some concern. There's definitely some concern. Like our linebackers, our D-line, they did not look stout against the run. They did not look like authoritarians out there. Them boys was getting pushed around. And I know most of our starters didn't play on either side of the ball. Manuel Agba did play some with the second unit, but for the majority of the game, we saw the second and the third units play, and there was a lot of players that was fighting their ass off to try to make a roster spot or at least get some more playing time against the Texans, who we play next week on Saturday. Well, this week on Saturday, I should say. One of the main takeaways that I got from this game is that we do not have a backup quarterback. I'm sorry, I don't see it. Mike White is not the answer. Skylar Thompson is definitely not the answer. And this Vic Fangio defense is going to need some time. And we look Swiss cheese the whole game. You know, misdirection runs on fucking inside runs. We wasn't doing nothing to really stop them from getting like 5 yards, you know, whenever they wanted to. And they was able to do that. And I think we got to get that cleaned up quickly. I'm not too concerned with Mike McDaniel going for it on fourth down in the red zone, because I believe he probably did that on purpose in this preseason game to try to get a good idea of, you know, how his backup quarterbacks are going to handle adversity. If we need y'all to come in and get a score and will us to a score, can y'all do that? And neither one of them showed that they can do that. I do like the play calls that he made this game. I thought that the play calling, you know, was pretty sound. You know, his single back calls were good. I like the fact that he had us in split back shotgun, which I'm hoping that Tua runs a lot this year. And I would say from the 20-yard line to the 20-yard line, he was definitely deceptive and unpredictable. And, you know, we made plays. We just couldn't cash in and get leads. Another thing I noticed in his play call in this game is we didn't go vertical down the field a lot. He probably did that also on purpose. Maybe he's hiding those plays to reveal those when we play the Chargers in week 1. But let's break down the game. I took notes on each drive, and, you know, here's the play-by-play for each quarter. First quarter, we received the ball to start the game. Devon Achane was back there. He returned a nice gain for us. Gave us good yardage to open up the game. And Gaskin opened as the starter at running back with Mike White under center. Mike was on point. He was in rhythm. He hit passes to Cedric Wilson Jr., Craycraft, Berrios for completions, got us in the red zone, and he could have had a touchdown for us, but his passing window closed because he held the ball for too long, didn't throw the ball on time, threw it too late. And, you know, I think he was trying to target Salbert, who tried to control the ball, but he juggled it, and it landed in the hands of a Falcon defender. Next couple of drives were 3 and outs for both teams. And I noticed that our defensive front, again, they were soft against the run, allowing the Falcons to get what they wanted. And for all the praise and talk about Fangio's scheme, I noticed from his defensive tape from Chicago and the Broncos, yes, he does get turnovers. Yes, it is exotic. It is trendy around the league. But I think if there is a weakness to Fangio's defense, it is that it is running the football. And I watched the Patriots preseason game. I watched even some tape last year. The Patriots plan on pounding the rock. They got Ramondre Stevenson. They're trying to get another good running back like Ezekiel Elliott or Dalvin Cook. That's why they've been talking to him just like we have. It's not just to block us from getting them. They actually are interested in Dalvin. And if they have Dalvin and Ramondre Stevenson back there and we can't stop the run, with all the talent that we have at the skill positions, we'll still lose to them. We'll still lose to them just off of time of possession. Some other notes I took is Logan Woodside had time to thread the needle on slants and comebacks in the first quarter. Eli Apple, he made a few tackles. Aubrey Miller's name was also called on the tackle in the first quarter, which is good for him. Second quarter, the Falcons drew first blood. They had a rushing score to put them up 6-0 because they missed the extra point. And when the coaches watch how this transpired on tape, they're going to see that our defensive line got pushed to the right and manhandled, and that allowed the runner to be able to jump cut away from the momentum and find the crease and hit that bitch up in there, and that's what he did. And now we got to try to answer back. First play after the score was a jet sweep to Eric Nzukama, who did his best Debo Samuels impression, and he looked good doing it, turning on the burners for a good gain. We followed that up with some orbit action left on a play action handoff to Gaskin, who bust one for 35 yards, almost took it to the house and ran it out of bounds. We took Gaskin out and put A-Chain in there, but he didn't get no yards, close to the end zone. We got in the red zone again, got stopped on third down, went for it on fourth instead of kicking an easy field goal, and Mike White again couldn't capitalize. And I noticed with Mike White, he seems too jittery and erratic when he's on that part of the field. When he's in the red zone, from 20 to 20, he looked good, but in the red zone, he's too skittish. And I think Mike needs to calm him down and have him, try to be a little bit more decisive. I don't know if that's the play calling. I don't know if he's just naturally jittery as a quarterback in the red zone, but if you're gonna run the ball in after 3 seconds because you don't see nobody open, just do that. Don't be pussyfooting around. Get up in there, 1, 2, 3, ain't nobody open, and you see it's an opening in there, man, run it in there or just throw that shit away. But don't throw a pick six, don't throw an interception right there in the red zone. We had a turnover on downs again and allowed them to pound the rock, but Mitchell Agude, the UDFA from the Hurricanes, showed good instinct, made a good tackle on the quarterback. Then UDFA edge Garrett Nelson dominated. He owned the Falcon left tackle, just got around him with ease, sacked the quarterback, and you saw him yelling, beasting, because he outmaneuvered them just like how they teach it. And I think that one play earned him another game for sure. Offense got the ball and they put the ball in the hands of Nzukama again, who took off again on a huge burst. And two things I noticed about the calls to A-Chain. One, I do like the jailbreak screen. You can tell that we're going to move him all around the field, and especially on the outside. And what is that going to do? That's going to free up those inside plays, inside deep passes to Waddle and Hill, depending on how we motion him out. Because Mike McDaniel likes to run those bunch sets, those tight sets with Hill and Waddle on the outside. If he got A-Chain and single back or split back, it really don't matter. And he flex him out wide for potential jailbreak screen opportunity, the defense is going to have to respect that, because Waddle or Hill can block, while he's getting the ball and maybe running it inside, or, you know what I'm saying, they can fake like they're going to go to him, and you can find Hill and Waddle deep, maybe even on curls inside. So any of those can work. And I like the fact that Mike McDaniel kind of revealing a little bit in preseason that he's going to move him around like that. But anyway, we ended up going into halftime down 0-6. Third quarter, the defense is on the field to start the third. And we saw Deshaun Hand in there. Cam Smith made a diving deflection on a Logan Woodside pass attempt to wide receiver Ali, and that forced a 3-and-out. Good play by Cam Smith, and we seeing the instincts and the twitchiness early. Offense starts the third with Skylar Thompson at the controls, and he took a vicious double-team sack, which was his fault because he held the ball too long trying to scan the field. Just throw the ball. You're not going to get more than 3 seconds in the league. We know that. Hurry up and get rid of the ball. That sack put us at 3rd and long, and we punted. On defense, Aubrey Miller almost had a tackle for loss but couldn't make the stop on this drive. And then they drove to the money zone again, but Cam Smith again made a sound tackle to force them into 4th and 5. And then Keydron Smith, the safety UDFA, held a fourth down, deflected a pass attempt on the right side of the end zone near the pylon, and that kept the score at 0-6. And because he was a turnover on downs, they went for it. On offense, Higgins made 2 back-to-back catches, and then we tried to unleash UDFA running back Chris Brooks, our heavy back, who had 2 nice runs called back for holding. And he was heated after that, after his second holding penalty, because it negated the good moves that he made. He looked good running the ball, and I liked what I saw. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep those runs on his stats. We signed him along with running back Aiden Bourget from Harvard to compete with Gaskin and Ahmed. I thought Aiden was gonna shine in training camp and play. And I thought, because he could bend that corner with the best of them. If y'all watch his Harvard tape, once he get slightly round the edge, he can just put his foot in the ground and haul ass. But Chris Brooks stood out more. And at 230 pounds, I think he could be the answer at the 30-yard line or at the goal line. But I took notes here that Skylar Thompson threw a bad interception. He was underthrowing it. He underthrew his target, throwing it late again with not enough velocity. He was trying to go a little bit deeper with more depth, but it got picked off. Fourth quarter, Skylar made a good pass to A-Chain for a 30-yard gain, but he missed a wide open Craycraft on a crosser bootleg to the right. Chris Brooks had a nice 10-yard gain, but then got manhandled trying to pick up a blitzer to protect Skylar Thompson on one of the next plays. But then he made up for it with a block on the blitzer from the right side. Skylar still got sacked while trying to throw the ball, and Jason Sanders kicked a field goal to make the score 3-6. Defense gets on the field. Who do I notice? Keydron Smith made a deflection while covering the tight end while Woodside was scrambling right, and that fired up the sidelines because it was a key heady play that he made. At around 9 minutes, Twyman got himself a sack on Woodside after block shedding, not giving up on the play, and that forced a 3-and-out. Offense gets the ball. We had a bad holding call by the ref on Elijah Higgins, who was clearly trying to make a good block to help Skylar scramble out of bounds, but it got called back. Then Coleman made a nice catch in traffic to move the chains. I think it was like a 12-yard catch. And then Skylar didn't identify the blindside blitzer, got clobbered from the back. Special teams play that happened that killed us. We punted and they took one to the house for 7 to make the score 3-13. Offense gets a chance to try to answer back with 2 minutes and 33 seconds left in the fourth. It's pretty much over, but it's good to see how they try to respond to that. Skylar gets hit, looked hurt while trying to throw the ball. There was no receivers in the area, and we got an intentional grounding penalty. Then Skylar throws a pick 6 to put them up 3-19. Then he puts the nail in the coffin by taking a sack fumble. And that was pretty much Skylar's day, which wasn't good. Mike White's wasn't either. And here's my conclusion to this game. Yes, it was the first game of preseason, like I said, but it was pretty telling. The graffiti's on the wall. We need to try to find some help. I mean, like I told y'all in the last video prior to this, if they look sloppy, DTR is a good option. Tyler Huntley from Baltimore, we need to try to consider. And if I'm Chris Grier, don't be hesitant to use a 6th or 7th round pick to try to get one of those guys, or try to get somebody in here that's better than Mike White and Skylar, because they're not the answer. We're fucked if Tua gets hurt. Know that. And I would prefer a backup. If we can't get Huntley or DTR, just somebody who could scramble, somebody that can improvise with their legs, someone dynamic, or at least a quarterback with good arm speed and good accuracy, because the last 5 or 6 quarterbacks from Fitzpatrick to Brissett to Skylar, they're all late throwing to the open man. It just seemed like the wide receivers got to be wide open before they pull the trigger, and that leads to a lot of interceptions. Let's analyze the game stats on numbers lie, numbers don't. Skylar had the most yardages between him and Mike White. He completed 10 passes off of 16 attempts, 104 yards, but an average of just 6.5 yards per play. 0 touchdowns, 2 picks with a quarterback rating of 41.5. And he got taken down 4 times, 4 sacks, for a loss of 31 yards from those sacks. So you got to deduct that from the passing yardage. Mike White, on the other hand, he completed 9 of 14 passes, 0 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, but he only got sacked once. So yeah, you can say that the offensive line for the second unit is probably better, obviously, than the third unit. And I'm going to give some blame to the offensive line, but for the most part, from what I saw, our quarterbacks had enough time to throw the ball. That Mike White interception, the Skylar Thompson interceptions were not because the offensive line did a bad job. It was because those guys did not throw the ball correctly, did not get the ball accurately to the wide receivers, or they just misread who to go to in the read. That's why they threw those interceptions, or they threw the ball late. Not the offensive line's fault. On the ground, Myles Gaskin, he led the way for our land attack. 7 carries for 57 yards, 8.1 yards a carry. Obviously, the big 35-yard run inflated that. Still, it was impressive. A-Chain carried the ball 10 times for just 25 yards, but he made income through the air as our leading receiver. Chris Brooks carried it 5 times for 24 yards. Through the air, A-Chain gained 41 yards off of 4 receptions, caught all 4 targets, and Higgins was the next best player via the air. I think Higgins may need to start. And I know that obviously Durham Smythe is our best blocker at tight end, and we just signed Salbert, and we just got we got Tyler Croft. But I think Higgins, I just see more upside with him. I know it was just 2 catches, but let's work with the young boy, man. Let's give him some time. Let's put him in there. I think tight end is a spot that we can possibly maybe take a chance on with a younger player, or with a player that has more athletic ability or more upside. Sometimes, you get these UDFAs in, or you get these younger players, and you want to play them, but it's like you got starters already at that role that are good. They're not going to beat them out. So, they don't ever really get no playing time, and sometimes they get plucked from other teams. In the case of the tight end position, I think that's a position where we can try Julian Hill, try Higgins in week 1 of our regular season and see how they do. That's a position that we can experiment with, I believe. And Smythe, we could rotate him in, but he just don't have the athletic ability to really be game-changing for us at that position, in my opinion. On defense, linebacker Channing Tindall, he led the unit with 10 total tackles, 7 solo, 1 sack, and 1 quarterback hit. And, we kind of got out-hit this game, but it was pretty balanced, as far as on both sides when it came to sacks, when it came to quarterback hits, and when it came to tackles. Here's my Big Fish Ballers of the Week list for this game. First one of the year, and I don't have either quarterback on there, but here's the guys that I do have on there. Running back Myles Gaskin, he's on the list. Running back Chris Brooks. Running back Devon A-Chain. Wide receiver Eric Nzukama. Tight end Elijah Higgins, who we just got through talking about. Edge Mitchell Agude, who balled. He had 3 total tackles, 2 solos, 1 sack, 2 TFLs, and 1 quarterback hit. I'm happy for him. I hope the coaches give him more playing time. Edge Garrett Nelson, he's definitely got to play next game. DT Brandon Peely, I was hoping that he would get a sack this game, but he had 4 total tackles. He played pretty good. Linebacker Channing Tindall, obviously. Cornerback Eli Apple, I have on my list. Cornerback Cam Smith, and safety Keydron Smith. And I'll go ahead and put Jason Sanders on there because he didn't miss his kick that he kicked. Keydron Smith, on paper, it looks like he just played okay if you just looked at the numbers. But from the eyes, he was impactful in this game. And like I said, he should be considered for next game. That's all I got for this show. Y'all let me know who y'all think I missed on the list. Who would y'all put on the Big Fish Baller list for this week? But till next time, signing off, TBFN.